My favorite thing is the most surprising thing, and I really didn't expect, and it's how much he loves his mom. Like he just came out knowing I was his mom, and even though we were separated in the beginning, I was like instantly like, how does he know I'm his mom? Welcome to Life Unleashed,
the podcast all about creating the best life for you and your furry best friend.
If you're a dog mom on the go, juggling life, work, and the endless joys of being a dog parent, then you're in the right place. I'm Dani.
And I'm Nick.
And together with the incredible dog mom community from Tails Up Pup, we're here to share advice, stories, and the obsession we have over the love for our dogs.
Get ready to laugh, learn, and lean on each other because life with your dog just got even more awesome.
All right, we asked the people what they wanted to hear on the podcast, and every answer had to do with Callan, baby, life, and we are going to be celebrating 1 month with Callan. So today's a recap of the first month.
I literally cannot believe it's been a month. It's so true that saying like that the days are long, the weeks go faster, the months are fast. That has literally like been so true. I do feel like at many different times I'm like, will this day, not like will this day ever end, but like, you know, with a lot, particularly like the first 2 to 3 weeks, it was just like, you're so tired. There's so much like to do, all these things you're like figuring out. It's like this, I'll never ever like get through this day.
I also think the days feel long because we're trying to create a schedule. So we're constantly watching the clock and timing everything. Like literally everything gets timed in the beginning. So I feel like that makes the day feel super long as well. But then at the same time, I feel like the hospital felt so long ago, even though the past 4 weeks have felt like they flew by.
Yeah, how were we in the hospital 4 weeks ago?
And like when my mom was here, it feels like a while ago now.
Yeah, that makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense at all.
It doesn't make any sense.
The other thing, too, about the schedule is, like, yes, we've been timing all the things, and the only thing that has actually gone, I would say, to schedule has been the feedings and everything. The napping, a lot of that stuff has not. We're getting better.
Daytime napping. The night sleep has been fairly good for being a newborn, but the daytime sleep has kind of been wonky. But I was someone who thought that my baby would just sleep wherever we put them, no matter the circumstances. And we're learning that we have to put him like in a crib or a bassinet, swaddled up, like a designated nap time, and that has been working a lot better for us. So he won't just sleep anywhere. We have to really say like, this is nap time.
Yeah, I feel like we've really been feeling the effects of like not knowing what we don't know as first time parents, i.e. that, and probably lots of other like different little things.
His 1 month appointment is tomorrow, so we don't have all of our stats to say what he is at 1 month, but we think he's about 10 pounds.
He's definitely last week he was 9 pounds, 13 ounces. He's definitely going to be 10 pounds.
Yeah, he'll be 10 pounds.
The doctor said he's gaining weight like a champ.
He eats so much. So we are following the Moms on Call book, like loosely. I feel like we're using it as a guideline, and then again, like things don't always go to plan. We also took the Taking Care of Babies course before he was born. I feel like they are very similar. So, but we don't have like printouts from that. So we're more using the book of Moms on Call because we physically have it in front of us all the time.
We've had literally so many people tell us about that book. Literally someone the other day, I was talking to somebody at the gym and they said, you know, you got to get the Moms on Call book. I was like, dude, we have that. Like, yeah. It's so good.
And it really isn't about cry it out. It's more about creating a routine and a schedule. And so we wake up our baby in the daytime to feed him, which now it is more regulated. But in the beginning, we were like every 2 hours, even if he was sleeping, we would wake him up and feed him so that he was more likely to sleep at night. And that worked well for us. So I know some of our friends who had babies who didn't sleep at night are like, wow, your baby's so good. And it's like, well, we have really followed this routine to allow us to try to have like the best situation for us.
Yeah, there's honestly been zero prescription of any type of cry it out at all, and at least so far in the book.
Yeah, I was reading the next, because now it's like 4 to 6 weeks, and it was saying like to try to stretch the crying longer. Like if we put him in his crib and he were to cry, to wait a little bit longer before you intervene. But for us, I feel like we've learned that he makes so many noises, and that's just normal for a newborn to squeak and moan and even sometimes cry in their sleep.
Yeah,
and
tell the story of your mom, like one of the first nights that she was here.
The first night.
I'm super sick. I'm quarantined downstairs. Danielle and her mom are like on night duty.
So we're sharing the bed together. Baby is in the bassinet next to us. And I did not get up the first squeak he made, and my mom was instantly hovering the bassinet like, oh my gosh, is he okay? And I'm like, Mom, he makes so many noises, and if you touch him, the first noise he makes, then you're actually the one waking him up. And so we found that if we just sit there for a few seconds and wait and see, most of the time he is sleeping and we don't have to intervene. Now, we have very much learned how long he goes in the night, and so hopefully those stretches get longer and longer over time. But right now, I always look at the clock at the first noise that I make, and I'm like, yep, he's going to be waking up because he's hungry now. So it definitely, in the beginning, we had no idea what we were doing. I felt like we were chickens with our heads cut off, like we just had no idea anything. And now, even though it's always something new and we're still tired and we're still learning, I feel like we have a better idea of what we're doing. And so know that if you are in the earlier stages, like, it does get better because at least you get more comfortable knowing what you're doing.
You're getting more comfortable knowing what you're doing, as well as, like, I do think the sleeping stretches get better in general. Maybe not every single night, but like in those very first, I would say like the first week, he was waking up 4 times a night to feed. So like that, your sleep is the most interrupted then. And that doesn't include any times where he might be crying because he's gassy or anything like that. He's feeding minimum 4 times. Then it went to 3 times. And now we've been very lucky. He's really on kind of 2 times a night, 3.5 to 4 hour sleep stretches. In general, last night was a little worse because he woke up a few times, but he, for the most part, is doing these longer stretches now. And it is so crazy. I've told some people this. The perspective of when you think about the waking up 4 times a night versus, and like you're getting maybe an hour and a half, 2 hour stretch. If we get a 4 hour stretch now, which we've gotten a few times, it feels glorious. I almost feel like I could get up and start the day in the comparison. Like, you know, we're used to the 8 hour stretch beforehand. And now it's like, you know, 4 hours is great. It's all perspective.
We're officially 4 weeks in, and today was the first day that Nick got up at 6 o'clock, which is his like old normal time to get up. And because of so many interruptions, he's been sleeping closer to like 8 o'clock because there's so many stretches in the middle that equals like 7 to 8 hours of total sleep by sleeping in. So I feel like we're going to learn a little bit more if we can start getting up earlier and get on a more routine like we used to have.
Yeah, because there was a few days that I got up earlier and like I literally was getting like 4.5, 5 hours of sleep, and like I can't do that long term. And so it was like I would sleep, you know, until 8, he would get up and feed around 5:30 or 6 and then go back down. I'm like, I'm sleeping that next stretch because I got to get my 7 to 8 hours. I
should have given the disclaimer in the beginning, but obviously, this is our story and our situation, and this is what's working best for us. But everyone's baby and situation is different. So we're just sharing from our perspective what we have been doing and what has been working well, or maybe what hasn't been working well. I feel like
the thing that's so interesting is like we have a lot of friends with kids, and every person that has more than one kid says every baby is different, every kid is different, and so like, you know, what works for us very likely could not work for your baby. So
I do feel like overall we do have a good baby. We're obviously trying to instill things that we think will make him better or the situation's better, but overall, like, he is pretty good. And most of the time when he is crying, it's because he's hungry. It doesn't matter if he ate 30 minutes ago, it doesn't matter if he ate 2 hours ago. If he's crying and like the pacifier doesn't work or the picking him up doesn't work, it's because he's hungry. And sometimes I like won't feed him right away because I'm like, you literally just ate. But then 9 out of 10 times, that's the reason. The other 1 out of 10 times that he's crying is because of gas or like uncomfortableness in his stomach. But most of the time it's because he's hungry.
I think one of like the principles that makes the most sense, at least logically to me, and that's in the book too, is waking your baby up during the daytime every basically 2 hours or so. It makes sense because they say that your baby is pretty much, as long as everything's fine and they're healthy, like they're not sick or something, they're going to get their stretches of sleep. And that could happen during the day. It could happen at night.
And they're going to eat a certain amount.
And they're going to eat a certain amount of times, like throughout the time period. So if you try to stack your feedings and making sure that they're not, you know, basically sleeping the entire day, I think you're setting yourself up for better success at night. And that pretty quickly worked for us. We had like 1 or 2 not great nights in the beginning, but that pretty quickly, like, he was on a better night schedule because we were waking up during the day, feeding him, playing with him, and that type of stuff. I think that probably would work for a lot of people.
The other crazy journey that we have been on is the feeding journey, because we've kind of been on every spectrum. I feel like if you drew a map of like where we've been, it would create a star, because we've been zigzagging all over the place. But we started off, he was born, instantly latched and was breastfeeding. But then if you listen to our birth story, which if you didn't, then you should go listen to that. But he was taken away from us for quite some time. And so they did feed him the colostrum that we had, but that was quickly gone. And so he was drinking formula from a bottle, and a very fast-paced bottle. So when he finally was brought back to us, he was not interested in breastfeeding, because he was, I say, spoiled from the fast bottle, and he had no reason to want to work for breastfeeding. So he was very interested in the bottle, and we did try to get him to breastfeed for like every feeding we would try, but he would just riot. And
we had the lactation consultant come multiple times, like while in the hospital, but they kept telling us, like, you don't want to force it, because they've seen times when people try to force it and like the baby really will never end up going to do it.
So in the hospital, we were using formula because I wasn't really able to pump as much as he needed. So we were doing both. Mm-hmm. We were really combo feeding.
We were mixing, but you were getting very little milk at that time.
Yeah. So then we came home, and my milk was coming in more then, and I was able to exclusively pump. So basically from the time we were home, we didn't use the formula, and I was pumping, and he would very rarely decide he would breastfeed. Like
a random day. Like
randomly. Yeah. So randomly.
He would do it, but then the rest of the time he wanted the bottle.
But it was so draining to try every time, and just to hear him cry and riot, I just physically couldn't do it. So I stopped trying after a few days, and I was like, you know what? We'll just pump and bottle feed, and that's what we will do. And I actually made a video, a reel of a day in my life, and showed like we were doing the pitcher method. And I originally had the Spectra, and so that is a great pump, but it requires you to be attached to tubes and not be able to do many other things at the same time. So that one was actually given to me by a friend. So I was able to use my insurance to get a free hands-free pump. So I got the Mom Cozy M5, which was amazing. I actually stopped using the Spectra because I was getting plenty of milk with the Mom Cozy, and I was able to walk around or bottle feed or do laundry or do work, whatever, pump at the same time.
It was a big change for you.
Yeah, that really changed.
Multitasking.
But still, I will say that pumping for me really weighed on my mental health, and I was on the verge of giving up, but I wanted to do it for my baby, and also because I'm frugal and wanted to save money. But I didn't want to give up quite yet, but I was on the verge. I kept telling Nick, like, for what? Almost
by the end of every day, you'd be like, I don't know if I can do this tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I would try to give her a pep talk, like, yes, you can. And, for me, I can only do so much. It's like, let me get you water, a snack, take him when I can, and these things. But there, as an example, like at night, I took all the feedings at night when we were doing all the bottle feedings, but Danielle still had to get up and pump.
Yeah. So it was a lot of work and very draining. And I will say that I will never shame anyone for the decision they make for themselves, because I understand.
You've been there.
I've been there, and I will never judge anyone for them deciding not to do it or to do it. But one day, 3 days ago now, basically he was like right about to turn 4 weeks, and he was just trying to breastfeed through my shirt. And I was like, I know you don't like this, so I don't know why you're trying. And then he kept trying. And so I was like, fine.
Let's see if he'll do it.
Let's see if he'll do it. And he did it. Nick was actually downstairs working, and I was like, oh my gosh, you won't believe it. But he literally asked to breastfeed, and he did it. And so then the next time when it was time for him to feed, I was like, let's just try it first. And he never went back to the bottle. So since that one time, he has been breastfeeding.
He made his own decision.
Now for 3 days, we're on a completely new journey. And personally, when I was exclusive, I'm using my hands a lot to talk.
I like it.
When I was exclusively pumping, a lot of people were telling me it would be so much easier to breastfeed. And I was thinking, not really, because it is nice to have help to bottle feed. And I don't know, having a baby on you, you won't be able to multitask the same way that you could with pumping. I just thought it won't really be easier. But personally, it is much easier.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's way less dishes. Even though we have the bottle cleaner, it still is a lot of work to clean everything and all the pump parts. And to me, the pumps were just so uncomfortable, regardless of either one and the situation. Breastfeeding is also uncomfortable, but in a different way. And so I just personally don't really like the pumping, and that's just me, I guess.
It also seems that, and this is probably not everybody's situation, but it seems like he needs less time when breastfeeding. I don't know if it's like coming out faster or whatever, but like maybe less than 10 minutes and he's done.
That's definitely personal to everyone's milk supply, I feel like, because I feel like most people take longer, but I definitely am an oversupplier. In 3.5 weeks, I had already filled 120 milk bags in the freezer, in addition to all the food that I've been providing to him.
And that's not you trying to like get to be an over. That's
I'm
just your normal
trying to
pump.
have less milk. Yeah.
Yeah. So you haven't been trying to get there. That just is what your body did.
And my mom was also an oversupplier. I don't know if it's hereditary or not, but it seemed like it to me because she told me she had that same issue. And it's funny because if you're an undersupplier, you wish you could be an oversupplier. And I feel like as an oversupplier, I wish that I could have less milk. I'm trying to figure it out, but apparently like it takes 12 weeks for your body to regulate and understand how much milk it needs. So it just takes time, and you have to be careful because you don't want to get mastitis or you don't want to get clogged ducts. And so you try to do less, but then there's these other problems that could arise. So it's very hard to figure it all out.
I'll ask you this, and what has been the most difficult transition from going from the bottle to breastfeeding exclusively?
Is there something in your head that you're thinking?
I do have something, yes.
What?
But I didn't want to like taint your answer. I was going to say.
I feel like he spits up more. So, I mean, he always spit up, but I feel like it's more with the breastfeeding right now.
I was going to say it's the having to do it all mostly on your own at night.
Yeah.
Before I was taking the feedings at night, and I mean, just doing it with the bottle, like it is a lot because, you have to get him, unswaddle him, sit him up, feed him, burp him, deal with him spitting up all over you possibly, which happens a lot. And then, change his diaper. Like I was doing all that at night, and like Danielle had to get up and pump, but I think it's much more like it's just more difficult having to deal with him than it was pumping it, I bet.
Yeah, but it's not terrible. I feel
you're
like
doing really good with it.
Thank you. It's definitely doable. And yeah, like you said, he eats fairly quickly. So it's not like it's a whole hour ordeal anymore. I feel like when we were pumping and bottle feeding, it took near an hour sometimes.
And now he is only doing it twice a night generally.
Which is
that's
also
better.
Glorious. Yeah. So every week that they get older and bigger, they hopefully should sleep a little bit longer. And I feel like we've seen that almost to a T. What the book says should happen has happened for us. So that's been very nice.
And I'm able to help change the diapers and things like that at night, but it is more falling on you. And definitely during the day. I mean, sometimes during the day you typically would feed him, but I could, take a turn for you, but now I can't do that.
I also feel like our baby is very strong. He can pull my hair. He can lift his head up very well. And so that's been interesting because I personally just wasn't expecting like a strong baby at such a young age. And so that's been cool to see him grow and develop over time as well.
It does feel like there's some type of change almost every day with him.
Yeah, he doesn't play with toys yet or anything like that, but he likes looking around. He loves looking at the ceiling fan, which people say babies can't see that far, but he really is looking at the fan. So I don't know if he can see it or not or what he's looking at, but it seems like he's looking at that.
He definitely knows something is there because he's locked on to it.
And another thing we are currently dealing with, if you know us, we always travel to Pennsylvania for Christmas, and we drive 12 hours with the dogs and all of our stuff in a car and, make the whole road trip. And this year we're like, are we going to go? How are we going to go? All those things, because Callan will be 4 months old at that point. And it seems like a 12-hour road trip with a 4-month-old would turn into like a 20-hour road trip because you have to stop, feed them, change them, get them out of the car seat, all those things. So
that seems like a terrible idea.
Yeah, we really weren't sure how we were going to make that work. We would probably have to stop overnight and do all that. And we weren't really interested in doing all that. So Nick had a brilliant idea.
I literally don't know why we didn't think of this before. I basically was like, oh, because we were like, if we both flew, we'd have to leave the dogs. We like to take the dogs with us. We don't. It's expensive to pay a sitter for an entire week. Also,
And
it's hard to
for Christmas.
Yeah, it's hard to find someone during that time. My mom is watching my sister's dogs like for a long-term thing right now, and so we don't want to send them all up to my mom's house and have her have like 12 dogs at her house. So it's like we really want to bring the dogs with us, and it was like, how can we do this? Well, we thought about it. Danielle can fly with Callan, and I could drive with the dogs and all our stuff.
So that's the plan right now. If you're listening to this and have another suggestion before we book a flight, let us know. But I think that is going to be a good plan for us.
I have a great idea.
What?
We could charter a private jet.
Okay.
And bring the dogs on it.
With what money and what jet?
We could sell our house.
Okay.
We'd be able to do it 1 year.
It will be my first time flying with a baby, and I'll be doing it solo, so that's a little scary, but I think it will be better than the road trip. And also, the other thing is that I never changed my last name when we got married because it was a lot of work. And everyone who said it's not a lot of work, I recently changed my name, and it is a lot of work because you have to go to all the different offices, change all the different things. So right now, one of the last things I haven't done is my TSA pre-check, because you have to go in person and I guess prove that you are the new last name. I don't know. And so I still have to do that, but I need to do that beforehand.
Oh, you're going to try to go down to the airport before?
Yeah, I should probably do that like in the next week, because if it takes a while to get the card and get verified and everything, I think it would be way better to have the TSA pre-check with the baby. So
that is probably true. It does seem like that they give you a little bit of extra, like, you know, you get to board earlier if you want. I think you might get a little preferential treatment at security, but you still have to go through and do all the stuff. So maybe it's worse. So maybe TSA pre-check would be worth it.
Yeah, because having to take things out of my bag and do all that. But because Nick is driving, we're planning on sending most everything with him.
Yeah, I'm going to take like everything.
But if I'm having to travel with pump things and breast milk and all that, like, I don't know. We've only been breastfeeding for 3 days, so it's hard to know where we'll be in 4 months or 3 months now. So I just feel like it's better safe than sorry to just get the TSA pre-check, because I already have it. I just need to go and redo it now, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, any other trip that we do, it's nice to have because it lasts for like 5 years or whatever. One thing for me that I feel like has been very unexpected, like, you have all these expectations like of what your day-to-day will be like, and you know that it's going to change as they get older, definitely. But we kind of had, like, after the first 2 weeks with the newborn, what we thought our day-to-day would be like, and it has been kind of nothing like that.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Like what we expected our work and life to be like?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like we thought it would be different than it is, but every day we're just learning a little bit more. Like we said, he wasn't really sleeping in the day, and trying to figure out like designated naps and all of that will definitely help. So right now, because the designated naps are working, he at least gets 2 hours and 2 hours, like 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. So I've been getting at least 4 uninterrupted hours of work, which has been really nice. And it's amazing what you can get done when you are on a time crunch. So I've been able to get a ton done, and then typically I'll still bring him down for part and put him in the swing or on his mat, and that has worked really well. So hopefully it keeps going in that direction.
Yeah, but in the beginning it was, I mean, that's pretty new. It was pretty much every, 15 to 20 minutes he was screaming, wanting to be held, and like, we're like, why isn't he napping and all of this stuff, and we just learned so much. But like, that was totally like, we didn't know what we were doing, and it was showing in how it's like you couldn't do anything.
Yeah,
it's like, how can you get anything done when it's like the only way he's calming down is if you're holding him? And
we have tried to wear him, but it was in the beginning and I was still recovering and my incision wasn't feeling great. So I need to try it again now that I feel like I'm more healed and I'm getting stronger again, because he is quite heavy.
I feel like you've also hit a big milestone. You went on a 2.5 mile walk yesterday.
Yeah, I still am not doing hills. I mean, obviously it's a little elevation here and there, but overall it's pretty flat. And I was able to go twice the length that we typically have been going for the past 3 weeks. So that was really nice. The weather's getting more bearable because it's not as hot. But yeah, my recovery has been much better. I feel like the first 10 days were awful. Then it started getting better. Still, I do have pain to the touch on my stomach, not at my incision, but on my actual stomach. But overall, it's getting better. And
It does seem like you're getting excited for the first time about like finally being able to get back to the gym here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, so I have an appointment in 2 weeks, which will be my 6 weeks postpartum, post-op, whatever it's called. And then hopefully I'll be cleared to work out, and obviously won't be able to just jump right back in where I was. But we will build up and we'll ease back into it.
One of the cool things that the gym is putting on is they're putting on like a pelvic floor thing that you're going to go to, which actually you have, is Aunt Kathy your aunt?
Yeah.
Did you?
My aunt-in-law.
Your aunt-in-law. I don't think that's a thing. But yeah, you have that resource, which you've talked to her, a lot about.
Yeah, she doesn't physically live near us.
Right.
So we've talked to her on the phone, but the gym is putting on a pelvic floor therapy session, which is really cool. Our gym has really, targeted like moms because they have the free daycare. And so there's a lot of pregnant women who go there. And then there are going to be postpartum women who go there. So if you are unaware, once you give birth, it is important to strengthen your pelvic floor again because it basically is destroyed. And so
yeah, there's a traumatic event.
Yeah. So I am excited to go to that this weekend and see what they have to offer. And just because you have a C-section doesn't mean that you don't need pelvic floor reconstruction or like strengthening. So I'm excited to go and learn something, hopefully learn some exercises to do, and maybe meet some other friends as well.
One thing that I'm getting excited for, and this is still a little ways off, but it'll be nice when Callan has his shots and we feel a little bit more comfortable about taking him in more public settings, because like right now, and this is kind of directed by the pediatrician, we've heard other people say this too, but pretty much limit the amount of people that are around him because he has really no major immunizations yet, and so you really don't want him to get any type of sickness or anything. And so not that we've been being like we really want to take him all these places, but it'll be kind of nice to feel a little bit more at ease once he has some of those first immunizations and things like that.
Yeah, we'll be able to take him to the childcare at the gym, and like we want to take him to the library. You were talking about when
that would be fun.
That.
We did just get some more books for him recently.
Yeah, he went for his first trip to the bookstore and he got 12 new books.
Yeah, my dad came with us and he just went bananas. He was like, gotta get all these books for the grandson.
And yeah, Callan loves story time, so that's fun.
That's the other thing about the book. We've really tried to have a nighttime routine. I'm also really excited to finally be able to give Callan a bath because, Yeah,
I was just about to talk about that. We didn't really share this part, but typically a newborn's umbilical cord falls off by 2 weeks, and at 3 weeks his was still on, and we talked to the pediatrician and they said that there are a lot of bad things that can be causing it to stay on. So if it wasn't off by 4 weeks, then we were going to have to do a bunch of tests and learn things and hopefully not have more bad news. But it did fall off. But when it fell off, it still looked a little bit wonky. So I ended up taking him into the pediatrician the next day so that she could look at it herself. And basically it was still like really open and it didn't look like it was going to close on its own. So we had to do a little procedure so that his site would close. And so we still are waiting to give him an official bath because...
But it was looking a lot better.
Oh, yeah. It looks so good. So once we see her for the 1 month appointment, I think she'll give us the clear to hopefully do a bath. But right now we've just been doing sponge bath and doing it on the counter. So hopefully we can do a real bath.
All that to be said, I'm excited to do like a nighttime routine where we're able, even if it's just a few times a week, where we're starting to incorporate a bath and things like that. Right now it's mainly tummy time, story time, that type of stuff. But it'll be cool to incorporate a bath.
Yeah. We were talking about like our routine and how it's different than we expected. And for the most part, I am caring for Callan in the day. Nick has so much work that he has to do. And we talked about, splitting tasks and balancing it out. But personally, I enjoy taking care of my baby. So we've decided that this is the best for us right now. What was the point of my thought though? Oh, that like at night, after dinner is when Nick can be done work and then he joins us and he really gets to spend a lot of time. And that's when I get to like go shower and, have
Dad
my
takes
hands
over.
free for a second. So that's been a fun little thing for Nick to have his quality time with his son as well. And then, we usually spend the final hour of bedtime routine together. I mean, I spend that time with you as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, just figuring all that out has been pretty cool. And we definitely love our walks. We mostly go on walks as a family, and he loves a little bassinet. I know a lot of people have a stroller, and they either just put their car seat in it, or you have to buy the bassinet attachment. And I didn't think that the bassinet was necessary because, I don't know, we know a lot of people who didn't get it. But honestly, we love it. Callan loves it. And to me, it would be a little bit weird to like walk out my front door on a walk and put him into the car seat to go on the walk. So I enjoy having the bassinet because I feel like it's more comfortable for him. Let me think of a few more stats of newborn. Newborns are technically newborns until 8 weeks, but the first month, he is still in newborn diapers and newborn clothes, but he is about to outgrow them, I feel like.
He has grown a lot.
And that is something that I strongly disagree with of all the people that we've heard.
What?
They say that you don't really need newborn clothes and don't spend money on newborn clothes. Like, we needed them for 4 weeks. He's been spitting up. We have to do laundry all the time. Like, newborn clothes for us were essential. But I know some people's babies come out bigger. He was born 7'13", which I feel like is pretty average though. And newborn clothes were essential, and we definitely needed more than 2. So
yeah. I mean, there's days where he'll get changed like 3 times if he spits up a lot or something.
And same thing with the newborn diapers. Like, they were essential. We definitely needed them. I tried on a size 1 and it was still too big for him. But I think probably in the next week, he will be bumping up in size in diapers and in clothes.
Yeah, I guess if your baby was like 9 or 9.5 pounds, you might not use newborn stuff for more than a week or 2.
I was going to say my favorite thing is the double zipper onesies.
Essential.
If it has one zipper from the top, like, we're definitely not using that at night, but we really try to just never use those ones at all. They are very annoying because our baby is cold and hates being naked. So if we have to unzip him from the top,
he riots.
So we love a double zipper. We hate the snaps. But if it has 3 snaps on like a simple onesie, it's doable.
During the day, it's way different than at night. At night, you're trying to go for speed and efficiency. You don't want to spend all that time, doing all of that.
My 2 favorite brands are Little Sleepies and Angel Deer, I think is the other one.
The Little Sleepies are so soft. I want an adult version.
But you like the other one too, so soft, the whale one.
Oh yeah. That one's really, I thought it was the same brand.
No, different brand, but they both are super soft and
Amazing.
have the double zippers. So we love those 2 brands. And then our stroller brand is Mockingbird. We love that. It's like super smooth. It has a giant basket on the bottom, and then you can change out like the bassinet and the car seat and all that.
I'm surprised how well it does over like all the bumps and cracks on the sidewalk.
Yeah, but I will say that the profile of it is big, and so when we have to go into a store or something, I do wish we had the Doona because the Doona is so low profile. When we went to the gym, we went to watch Nick in a competition, and I brought the stroller, but I didn't like take it out because I was like, it's too big, and someone else was in there and had the Doona, and I was like, that fits so much better.
Yeah, our stroller in there would have been like, you would have been run over people's toes.
Yeah, so if you like to go shopping and stuff, I feel like the Doona would be pretty essential. And the Mockingbird is great, but it is pretty big. And then we have the Nuna car seat, and we also really like that. It's super comfortable. Callan loves riding the car.
Yeah, he has almost only been like a little fussy once in the car.
Oh, the other thing we love in the car, we have a monitor instead of like a rear-facing mirror to see him. And so I feel like I can drive much more safe and like, I don't know, less stress knowing that I can see him front and center instead of having to turn around and look at a mirror or even like look in my mirror to look at a mirror. So I really like having the monitor, and honestly it was pretty cheap. It's like a car monitor. So that has been a great find.
Most of the time, like when we're going places together, you're still sitting in the back and I'm driving, but like when you have to go somewhere with them by yourself, that seems like it's essential.
Yeah. And also, like, because of safe sleep, a lot of people tell you, like, you don't need blankets and stuff, but we don't put a blanket in his bassinet when he's sleeping or in the crib when he's sleeping. But when he's with us on the couch, he loves to have a blanket. So I think a blanket is essential because he loves his little blanket so much.
Yeah, we really have been following the, like, safe sleep on your back, nothing in the crib or the bassinet.
Yeah.
And that seems to have been working pretty well for him.
At first it was sad because he was cold, but we just use a thicker swaddle now so that he stays warm.
And I made the house warmer.
A little bit.
A little warmer. I've sacrificed here.
Oh, also with the bottle feeding, we used a bottle brand that we had because we just had it and we thought, it was a good one, but we ended up trying a different one and ended up being better for us and for Callan. So I would just say, like, if you try something and it's maybe not working, don't be afraid to try something else. Same thing with pacifiers. We ended up switching his pacifier as well. And so sometimes it's easy because you have something or you think that it's good, but if you're having any issues, then it might be worth trying another brand just to see if maybe it would be better for you.
Well, and in the beginning, that really is probably important to make sure you don't get too many of like one thing until you know what works for your kid. Because like if we would have bought, as many bottles as we really wanted in that one brand and we ended up switching them out, it's like that would have been a waste.
Yeah.
Same thing for pacifiers or really anything. I mean, I even think like how sad would it have been if we bought a ton of newborn clothes that didn't have the double zippers? That would have been sad.
That is true. And also with the pumping, I just feel like there's so much information. So you have to be careful who you listen to because everything in newborn and pregnancy and all these things is controversial. So find someone who you feel like is reputable and that you want to listen to. But with pumping, there is so much information out there. And I think it's important to learn because you could be doing something possibly wrong or not right for yourself because like the size of the flange can really affect how much milk you're getting and if it doesn't fit you right. And I got one of the sizing kits and then like apparently my lactation consultant said that I needed to go even smaller than what it was saying.
Yeah, we were reading it wrong, I think.
Yeah. So I just feel like it's important because, I could have been wasting time or not getting enough milk simply because of the wrong flange. And I would have had no idea if she hadn't told me that.
Yeah, it's very good. I'm sure it can go the other way where you're getting so much, unsolicited, not good advice and experience. But I think overall, from the right people, getting the experience and help can really save you a lot of time and headaches. Whether it's with the pumping, whether it's like reading the book, things like that. Well, if we hadn't have read that book, I would have thought you don't want to wake up a sleeping baby during the day because they need to sleep. That is something that I definitely would have not really thought on my own necessarily, but that's been pretty essential for him getting his good night's sleep.
And also shout out to my secondary lactation consultant, Ensley. Every time I have a question, I message her. She has so much knowledge, so she should start sharing that. I feel like she started her blog though, which is really cool. But I feel like she knows so much.
Yeah, she has literally been like your go-to person for like pretty much every question that you've had, I feel like.
So maybe I will try to be that for y'all at once I feel like I have more knowledge and know what I'm doing. But I feel like this is a step in the right direction.
Or, Ensley has written a lot of good blog stuff. So like go read some of that stuff for some more specifics. I think that would be very helpful.
What else? What has been your favorite thing so far?
Probably just like spending the time with him, like really like kind of the time that I spend the most with him is like our walks are at night. And it's just like, it really is still a surreal thing. Like that's our kid. That's my son. And just like, even though he is not doing all that much, it like, I love every second of like, even last night, like holding him on the couch for like an hour. That was so nice.
My favorite thing is the most surprising thing, and I really didn't expect, and it's how much he loves his mom. Like he just came out knowing I was his mom, and even though we were separated in the beginning, I was like instantly like, how does he know I'm his mom? How does he love me? Like he's
definitely preferential to you. Like particularly when he's very upset or crying, sometimes I cannot console him and I'm like, I know that he just wants to be held by Dani and I'll give him to you and he stops crying.
And I'm someone who doesn't really like physical touch. And I told Nick, like when I was pregnant, that my fear was that I would get like touched out and need a break from touching too many times. And so I feel like I have come a long way because that actually hasn't been an issue. And like, I love that he wants to be with me so much that like, I'm excited because he wants it and like, he's choosing me.
Yeah, you like it.
Yeah, it's so cool. Like, I'm like, how does he know? But he does.
And the thing is like there's so many more things to come and it's going so fast. Yeah. And we're trying to just soak up every moment and every stage. I mean, 2 weeks ago it was different than now. He was so much smaller, it felt like. And now he's getting bigger and he's doing other things. So it's like every stage just trying to like soak it up, live in the moment with him, and not, it can be easy, I think, sometimes when you're sleepless or frustrated or something like that, to be like, how long am I going to have to wake up a bunch of times in the night and do all this stuff? But it is really just, a stage, and I'm just trying to enjoy the stages while they're happening.
I feel like the hardest part for me is not like the lack of sleep in that part. It's that when he's crying and I cannot console him and I can't fix it for him and he's just uncomfortable and there's sometimes nothing you can do about it. And it's just like, that's so sad. And I just wish that I could do something about it. And even if I try everything and I can't, like, that's the worst part to me.
Oh yeah. It's like, he's fed, he's changed, I'm holding him, all the things. It's like, and then he's still upset. It's like, that's really hard.
Yes. I'm very lucky and blessed to not have postpartum depression yet or any of those sad side effects, but when he's crying and I can't fix it, that's where I feel like the most pain, I feel like, of not being able to do anything about it.
I mean, I feel like that's natural, but it is definitely hard.
It's sad. And it's also funny because when we gave birth and obviously had a traumatic experience for ourselves, I quickly after was still interested in having another baby, and our friends and family were like, I'm so shocked that you're talking about having another baby after you went through that. And I just knew that that's what we wanted. But now that we're 4 weeks in, now I'm starting to say, maybe we don't need to do this again because it is so hard. I know that we likely will, but it is so hard. And I also don't know how you're going to do it when you have a toddler. Like, it's hard alone, but then to know that you could have this newborn phase with a toddler, that's gonna be so hard.
It'll be so hard, but I think it'll be worth it.
And you have to remember that a lot of people do it, so if they can do it, we can do it, hopefully.
And I do feel that certain things will definitely get harder, but it will get a little bit better when you're not having to literally feed him every 2 to 3 hours and, waking up so much in the night. That stuff will get easier. I feel like when you have a full night's sleep and you're rested, you can do a lot more with more energy. So what else, Dani?
I feel like that's it. Like, 4-week recap, 1 month. It's crazy that 11 more months and he will be a year old.
Don't even start to talk about that. Let's take it 1 month at a time.
Time to start planning his birthday party.
Let's take it 1 month at a time. Oh my gosh.
Thank you guys so much for listening, for loving on Callan and enjoying this stage of life with us. It's been so fun to see everyone's comments and messages to us about him and our life change. So we appreciate you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.